The Acceltra has gotten me through some difficult times in Warframe, difficult missions. So when they turned around and said Gauss Prime was coming, oh yes, here's a good frame, don't get me wrong on that. But this reloads faster when in Gauss's hands. Yeah. And has a lower attack speed, but does do more damage. It has a faster reload in general, but it does say this weapon reloads even faster when it's wielded by Gauss, which means the fast reload should be ridiculously almost instant on this thing. But it does have a max ammo problem. It does, of course, have 3 ports, 4 if you include the blueprint, so there's a barrel, a stock, a receiver, and the actual blueprint for it. It takes 12 hours to find them. Just go to the codex, search for a Acceltra or a variant of it, and you can see what relic has what port and roughly where you can obtain these relics from. Because this thing, it is the top of the list of primaries, which is probably one of the main reasons I've used it for so much, being number 1. But you can see, fire rate, used to be 12, it's now 10, but it does reload quicker, and yeah, every single thing other than it, I don't know why I'm trying to scroll this, that's why the weapons moved, is increased, because primes are always better than their standard variants. There's always a thing that gets kind of nerfed on it, but there's always something that is so much better, and this, everything. 2% more crit. 0.2% more crit multiplier. Doesn't really sound like much until you realise 18% status instead of 6%, and it's now doing a total of 44 damage instead of 26. Oh yes. Coming in with a V polarity and a dash polarity makes it great for throwing that riven on. Just to have it there. It's a crit riven and damage to Grenier, so yeah, kind of would ignore that one. It's not the best rolled riven. What would you put in this missing slot? This is just example of mods, by the way. This is not a build. 96 ammo capacity. People have joked about this for years and everybody gets a good laugh out of it. Where is primed ammo drum? I've said for years, it is not a useless mod. It will be useful on a lot of different weapons. This is one of them. It's gone from 2 mags to now having 4. It's almost doubled the amount of ammo this thing can use. Still gonna suffer, so you're still gonna want the ammo mutation mod on there. Assuming you have polarized this, format it, put some mods in it, and have the space to be able to put that in there. Oh, and polarize this, because the only thing you can do really is put terminal velocity in there, because accuracy doesn't really matter with this thing, and movement speed while aiming, it's Gauss. I think he moves quite enough. But how you build it is completely and utterly up to you. Everybody has their own different versions of this. To be fair, I'm probably going to go with one element on it and probably try fast hands rather than ammo drum. Ammo drum's going to be fairly useful, but I think reloading faster is going to be even more useful. You just need to take a really good secondary with you if you're going to be running this, because it is going to run out of ammo quite a lot. But the Acceltra Prime, okay, Gauss Prime is a really good frame. The Acceltra Prime, it is still a pretty decent weapon, even if it does, let's be honest, in comparison to something like the Courier's Prime that does, what is it, nearly 10,000 or just over 10,000 total radial attack, this thing does, as I had it anyway, about 650. It's not the best of weapons, and that is a far different number than 10,000. A hell of a lot different. The Courier's Prime, that will annihilate pretty much anything that stands in front of you. Hence the reason it has a rather limited ammo supply, and it does pretty much constant knockback if you are standing way too close to it, even though it's not supposed to detonate until it's outside of knockdown range in the hands of Gauss. Could have sworn that was one of the perks it had, but nope, reloads faster. The Acceltra, it's a good weapon. Up until level probably 150. After that, it starts to suffer quite a bit, but it will still in fact take out level 200 enemies. Easily? Not so much. It's still going to take a magazine or two, depending on the enemy, and obviously depending on the faction you're going up against, because Grenier, Corrupted, Corpus, and Infected tend to go down no matter what kind of build you have on it, as long as it is something that will work against them. So any elemental combo will still be better than none. But obviously, I mean, come on, for the Infested, I believe gas is the best. Never, ever use it for them, but apparently that's one of the best. Or Viral. But corrosive against armored enemies, magnetic against the Corpus, this thing will still shred through them. Fire rate will increase this by quite a bit, but it will also empty your magazine quicker. Throw the rifle ammo mutation in there. Yes, it's something daft, like it only converts secondary ammo into 50% of... well, 50% of the secondary ammo you pick up will be converted into rifle ammo. It's not the best. I miss the days of all ammo was converted, but that's what carriers for these days. Can always just equip carrier will solve most of your ammo problems with this weapon, assuming you're taking the enemies down enough to keep it within ammo. You could put something like Orgon Scope on there, ooh, now there's a good one. What actually was that? Because I can never remember. 135% crit chance while aiming for 9 seconds on headshot, I believe it is. That, it'll still crit hit. Would basically run that. The Riven I have basically got nerfed through the floor, and it ended up as a 65.8% crit chance on there, and yes, it does an extra bit of damage to Grenier, but in time I will probably change that, or swap it out for Orgon Scope that does twice that crit chance. Actually, it would be twice, wouldn't it? 65 twice would be 130, and that's 135 on Orgon Scope if you hit them in the head. We'll then be hitting for the same... more crit than it was, so instead of it being constant yellows, it'll basically be constant orange. And if you are lucky enough to find a Riven for this thing, and you can get a crit chance and crit damage on it, yeah, you're going to be able to build something that is ridiculously good, because even just Vital Sense in this with its 120% crit damage, yeah, that turns the crit multiplier to 6.6. That's 6 times the base damage. So yes, you may be doing 650 total radial damage, but 6.6 times that, still not 10,000 damage, meaning that when it comes to the prime weapons that came with Gauss Prime, I had high hopes for the Acceltra, and I really wanted to say that one was the best. Nope, the Icarius Prime, it definitely deals more damage, but this just seems more fun. It's like an Ogress on steroids, because it shoots a lot more rounds, but at the same time it's like an Ogress that's been nerfed through the floor and does very little damage. And I'm only using the Ogress as an example for this because technically this thing shoots rockets. Those little projectiles coming out of it, just like the Icarius, they are rockets. And I do love the fact that in the little video they have for Gauss, he kind of shoots these things down a corridor, sprints past them, and then flicks one at an enemy. Is it worth building this thing? Of course, it's still an Acceltra, it is still a pretty decent weapon, and it's primed, so it's obviously better, even if it has been... the fire rate has been kind of ruined. That is fine, you can always add fire rate back on, but the Icarius is definitely better. With that, we'll leave this off here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.